Greetings, travel enthusiasts, and welcome to another episode of TravelPreneur. I'm your host, Megan McSwain. Today, we have a distinguished guest with us, Adam Kerr, the CEO and founder of Tripism. Hello, Adam. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, Megan. It's great to be here.
Thank you. Adam, your firsthand experience with the challenges of business travel inspired the creation of Tripism. How does Tripism equip travel teams with the necessary superpowers, if you will, to enhance the business travel experience?
Yeah, absolutely. So like you said, I mean, my background isn't business travel. I'm from a kind of startup and fintech background. And like many of the listeners, I traveled a huge amount for work. And almost the kind of larger the company that I worked for, the worse the kind of tools that I used for planning my travel became. And it got to a point where I just thought, it should be much better. The tools for business travel should really be better than they are for leisure travel. And there was one kind of particular trip where we were going to Peru and, it took a lot of time to kind of plan the trip. We finally did the trip. And then about 2 months later, a technical team did exactly the same trip that we did. And they had to do all the same planning that we'd just done. And it just seemed kind of, a terrible waste of everyone's time to kind of keep planning these trips. We started Tripism. I was looking for kind of experts in the field because I didn't know very much about business travel apart from being a traveler. And I saw some really innovative ideas by a chap called Eric Bailey, who led the travel Microsoft. We talked a little bit about what we were doing with Tripism, and he said, that sounds like a great idea. We see the same kind of challenges. We were looking to build our own tool. Why don't you come over and talk to us? And we were very fortunate in the fact that Microsoft became our first customer, and we worked really closely with them to kind of evolve the product and launch with them globally. And travel programs are really kind of quite sophisticated these days. So travel teams have lots of travel suppliers, the airlines and the hotels. They have kind of risk providers. They have kind of promotions and benefits. They have sustainability information. And it's really kind of complex how they can communicate this fantastic travel program through to their travelers. So we look to give them a superpower, as you say, so that they can use Tripism, and we help them kind of communicate things in a kind of highly specific, highly relevant way through to their travelers.
So Tripism aims to reinvent business travel from the ground up. Can you sort of elaborate? I know you mentioned a little bit before, but can you elaborate on how the platform's comprehensive approach brings together corporations, travel suppliers, and business travelers, fostering a culture of data-driven travel experiences?
Yeah, absolutely. So I suppose firstly, because we're a relatively new entrant to the industry, we were able to take advantage of, software as a service, cloud-based technology, and really kind of build it on a modern architecture that enables us to be able to evolve really quickly and to be able to bring in APIs and data from multiple different places. A lot of travel teams, when they've historically tried to kind of communicate, there's just kind of been a big push within organizations around digitization, and the tools that we all use for our everyday jobs have kind of come on leaps and bounds. But for travel teams, there haven't really been the technology available. They had the kind of the booking tool to help people make a reservation, but no real tools to kind of communicate to their travelers. I always quote one of our customers who said, prior to Tripism, they had two means of traveler communication. One was to send an email to 30,000 people, and the other one was to put a PDF on the intranet, and nobody would read it. Yeah, so by using cloud-based technology, it enables us to be able to connect into lots of different partners. We take that content. We use kind of data like previous booking data to be able to personalize information. So we talk about highly specific, relevant information. We don't want you to read 20 years of Delta Airlines, but we do want you to know about the benefits that you can get as an employee for one of those customers.
Time is of the essence in the world of business travel. How does Tripism streamline the user experience for business travels, ensuring that their travel needs are efficiently met and that they can focus on their work while on the go?
I think there's a couple of different points, really. One is business travel is pretty standardized patterns of travel. So people go and see the same customers, or they go to the same office locations. And as you'll know yourself, when you travel somewhere for the first time, you're kind of finding your feet and trying to orientate yourself. And it takes a bit of while to kind of, how do I get from the airport? Where's the office? And within organizations, there's huge amounts of kind of collective knowledge. So people have done that trip that you're going to do lots of times before. So one of the things that we do is that we become that kind of central source where travelers can share travel tips and recommendations, so that Firstly, when you're planning your trip, you can do it with much more confidence and you can do it much more quickly because you have the information from your colleagues and co-workers. And then secondly, when you're there, it's much more efficient because you benefit from maybe the mistakes that people have made historically, but certainly the kind of efficiencies that have kind of evolved as more and more people make that trip. The second piece is within a company, they obviously have kind of policies and procedures and compliance, to ensure kind of traveler safety and best use of company funds and so on. Some of those policies can be quite lengthy and quite wordy, and there's a lot of things to learn about kind of doing your expenses or finding the right hotel and things. And one of the things that we do is that we use the technology to be able to making the right choice the obvious choice. So a lot of our corporate customers have preferred hotels. They've done like a lot of work to choose those hotels. They're in a really good location. They have a really good rate. They probably have really good benefits for you as a traveler to that hotel. They're safe and they're secure and so on. And we also make that, we make choosing that hotel a really easy choice. So you can see it's in a great location. You can see why it's a preferred hotel. You can see the great reviews and recommendations from your colleagues. You can see that benefit that you get. So rather than having to spend hours kind of sifting through what you're supposed to do, we just make it a really simple choice for you to make that right decision.
This episode is brought to you by TravelPayments.com. Travel businesses have unique needs when it comes to credit card processing. From large average ticket sizes and tolerance for higher chargeback ratios to simple integrations with the most popular shopping cart systems, the travel industry specialists at TravelPayments.com have you covered. Unfortunately, many of the most popular credit card processors initially accept travel businesses, but without warning, freeze their merchant accounts and the thousands of dollars in them because these service providers don't understand or support the unique needs of travel industry business. Don't get stuck with one of the big guys who will freeze you out without a moment's notice. Instead, work with the travel industry specialists who will support your business every step of the way. Visit TravelPayments.com to get a free quote today.
The data is obviously so important and the insights are crucial in making these informed decisions. But you said the company is fairly new, so you're using data from like historically from the last, several decades. And then so much is changing now, right? Post-COVID. So I'm sure it's constant management of this large container of information.
Yeah, again, that's the sort of beauty of technology. One of the things that we launched a little while ago, I personally really like. So if you're traveling for work, you want to be able to take a client out for dinner or to kind of, find a restaurant for a team meeting. And all of the tools previously have been kind of designed for leisure. And therefore, the ratings and reviews that you get might be from somebody who, 5-star rating might be because it's $20 eat as much as you want pizza,
Right.
which is great for some people on some trips, but probably not best for that kind of client dinner where you want to impress the client. So what we do is customers send us anonymized expense data, so the card transactions, and we look at the number of times that people have expensed a certain restaurant. And it's a really great way of finding a great restaurant. So you're benefiting from people who live locally that have used your card and have local knowledge, or people that have gone there and done research historically, fits in with your company culture, fits in with your expense policy. It's a really awesome way of doing it. And our merchant bank customers will have completely different restaurant recommendations than, kind of a cool consumer brand that we work with. So it's super interesting.
That is so interesting because you really get a truly behind the scenes look at where business travelers are eating.
Yeah, and sometimes it can be because the restaurants are quite often they're skewed by the kind of location also, but sometimes there'll be like a really great restaurant which is slightly more difficult to get to or further away from the offices. And then sometimes you'll get one that's just like super convenient and kind of right by the front door.
And is it the same thing with hotels as well? Like, are you aware where people are staying first or which hotels are expensing?
One of the things that we do is we do a kind of post-trip survey. With the company's permission, we get access to kind of anonymized booking data. Then when you return from your trip, we can say, hey, how was your stay at the Marriott Times Square? Or how was your flight with United Airlines? And how was your car rental service? And we get a really good response rate. And it's super helpful because you collect those reviews and tips so that other colleagues can use it to plan their trip. So it's helpful for them. And then we also provide it back as aggregated data to the travel team so that when they're talking to the hotels, they can say, hey, these hotels are doing a really great job. These ones less so. But it helps them to kind of drive kind of continual improvement and ensure that they're getting the best return on their investment. And we do use the data to kind of personalize the service to travelers. but the travel teams are looking to kind of influence travelers in different ways. So
Right.
there's a slight trade-off between presenting you as an individual with the hotels that are perfect for you and the ones that we think that you might book, because now there are other considerations. Travel teams are really trying to help travelers make choices about sustainable properties. So if you've always stayed at a hotel that hasn't been classed as a, really kind of green hotel, then they might look to us to try and preference some other hotels. So it drives your behavior towards more sustainable behavior.
Right. What is your vision for Tripism in the coming years? How do you plan to sort of further solidify its position?
So our customer is the corporate customer. So we want to be able to provide more data back to the travel teams. So there's a lot more focus for travel teams to look at things like traveler well-being, and for the travel team to help present information to the travelers like a kind of mirror, so that it helps the traveler to make better decisions about planning at times that are sensible for them as well as for their work. I think corporate travel is a big investment, not only of your work time, but of your personal time. So how can you use that best? I think there's a lot of kind of fragmentation in the marketplace, and that's something that kind of plays to our strengths, because we've become this kind of interface on the top that really kind of makes sense of all the complexity and the rapidly changing information. Suppliers want to be able to do more and more for the travelers, for those important customers. And I think they've also had a challenge. They haven't really been able to present their information in the best way. So we'll probably do some more things with that. And then when we're continually looking at kind of, new technologies like AI and chatbots and so on, to enable travelers to be able to find the right information and to be able to service those customers in the right way. But, we're very kind of customer centric. So we look at the traveler and we look at the travel team and see how we can do that. And we use technology in the best way that we think is right for doing that.
As such an expert in the field, what advice, if any, would you offer to businesses and entrepreneurs seeking to improve their travel processes, experiences?
I'd say just get started, really. I don't think there's no better time than at the moment to kind of start companies. I think a lot of the things like software as a service and cloud-based technology now makes it so much easier to get started faster and to lower that kind of barrier to entry. One of the things that, as a kind of relatively newcomer to corporate travel, that I was impressed with is that customers that we work with, they're huge organizations, but the travel teams are super keen to work with companies with new innovative ideas and technologies and things. I've worked in fintech and internet companies for a long time, and I'd say that this sector, probably more so than any, is really great for technology companies to come into, and those companies are really welcoming to onboard new startups and new technology ideas. So just get going, put one foot in front of the other, and then kind of take the next step, and you'll learn a lot, and people are happy to kind of try things out and to give you a chance.
Well, thank you so much, Adam. This is such interesting information.
Where they can learn more about Tripism and where they can contact you.
So they can come to our website. That's just simply tripism.io. They can look us up on LinkedIn. We have our profile there, obviously. And if anyone has any questions or suggestions, then they can email me directly. My email address is just simply adam@tripism.io.
Thank you so much, Adam, and good luck to you. To our listeners, thanks for listening to TravelPreneur. Please like and subscribe for future episodes and leave us reviews. Thank you so much, Adam. Take care.
Brilliant. Thank you, Megan.